I guess to start off, we're going to talk a little bit about the orchard and our fourth hoop house that we're going to get at some point in time. Last year we had seen where Hamilton County had grant money the year before, and it needed to be, I think it was in April of last year, and so we decided that we should also be able to get some grant money from Hamilton County since we feed people in Hamilton County. Well, Pam and I worked really hard, and first of all, we didn't know what we wanted, so we started talking to Katy, and we're throwing out some ideas, and we knew our fourth hoop house, we had gotten a grant for half of it. Traditionally, we had gotten almost all of them covered under a grant. Because of so many people applying for the hoop houses, it was only going to cover about half of it. So we needed the other half of the money for the hoop house, which was about $10,000. And then we said, okay, so what else would we want to throw in there? And Katy said, hey, let's just throw in an orchard. And we're like, okay.
Just 300 trees.
Just 300 trees, you know, of, what do we have? Pears, apples, plums, and some cherries.
And peaches and cherries.
And peaches and cherries.
And we thought, well, let's ask for this much, and if they give us enough to do the balance of the equip that we got from USDA, that we'd be happy.
So, you know, we prepared this grant, we submit it, and traditionally, if you know anything about grants, you submit them, they tell you when they're going to act on it, and then they just get back with you and tell you what you got, or if you got anything. Well, that's not how Hamilton County works.
Well, we got an email to show up at the courthouse, the new courthouse in the conference room, or the large breakout room, on August 5th. And so, you know, Tina are like, you gonna be there? You gonna be there? Okay, so we show up. I've got a skirt, flip-flops, and a t-shirt. Tina's got capri pants, flip-flop, t-shirt. We show up, it's COVID, so she's on that side of the conference room. I'm on this side. We look around, and here's all these power suits.
And you've got masks on, so we can't even communicate with each other.
High heels. Power suits, dark. They're getting up there and they're presenting. So I pull out, I've got a copy of the grant, I pull it out, and then it's our turn. And we both go up, and I read our mission. I talked about what the money was for. And then if you know Anita Hagen, she is a rock star. She runs the Hamilton County Food Bank. And I read one of her quotes about working with us and how meaningful it was and the good work we were doing in Hamilton County. And then Tina got up.
And I talked to him about the lodge and the cabins and how we're trying to be self-sustaining and all of the things we're doing so that we're not draining people every year to pay for our ongoing expenses. So one of the councilmen, you know, and they reading all of this, and we told him what we wanted, and he looked at me and he goes, so you're saying this is for, he said, this is a one-time grant. And I said, yes, this is a one-time grant. He goes, so you're not ever going to come back again? And I'm saying, no, not saying that. So after it was all over, they came out to us and they said, don't be disappointed if you don't get anything today.
Yeah.
Because we have probably already decided what we're giving out today, and it's to keep all of these other places going that we normally grant money to. But if you don't get any money today, call us. I think I have some ideas. And of course, we didn't get any money. So we didn't get a grant from them.
Not from that.
But they told us some ideas, and we're like, okay, that's good. They gave us some places we could go to get money. Well, then they finally came back to us and said, you know, we have some money left in our budget. So it really was not officially a grant. It was money that was left over in the county's budget that they actually gave to us for our thing. And they came out and they looked at the place, and Katy showed them around, and they said, okay, now is this an all or nothing? You know, do you have to have the $50,000? And we're like, yeah, we kind of do. At that point, we thought, why not? You know, might as well ask for it. And I said, we need the other $10,000 for the hoop house, you know, or we don't get the hoop. You know, we've really got to do some fundraising. And I said, the orchard takes 5 years. I mean, we can piecemeal it, but every time you piecemeal it, it's going to be a little bit longer and a little bit longer. And these people need fresh fruit now, you know. So they said, okay, well, you know, long story short, we got the $50,000. So we have 300 trees in the walk-in coolers waiting till the cicadas hatch, because that is what they like, is young fruit trees. And hopefully, as soon as they come and go, then we can get them out in the orchard and get that planted.
Right.
So,
So I'll just talk a little bit about the windbreak. that kind of leads into it. We had 23 volunteers show up, and we did get basically a conservation reserve program contract for 115 trees that are along 221st Street. And we really appreciated all the great people that showed up, and those trees are going to thrive. And we need those skill sets back, because as soon as the cicadas are done, then we're going to have like friend and family event where we're going to be planting 300 trees. You can see where the fencing is there, and you'll be able to have your picture taken with it, and it'll be a lot of fun.
I'll make lemonade.
Yeah, yeah, we'll make lots of lemonade. Well, so we're really excited about the windbreak. That's very necessary. And then it was really exciting as you guys were driving in. Hopefully you noticed the lodge roof.
The lodge roof, you know, when Ruth Teter gave us this property, one of the things she said was she wanted it to be a retreat. And that was in her last bequest, was she wanted this property to be a retreat for people to be able to come and to gather, church groups, families, you know, etc. And that was one of the first things we built, was the lodge and the cabins, which allowed us to have a retreat here. This year we looked at the lodge roof and we knew it had to be replaced, and this was the year it had to get done this year. We couldn't put it off another year. So our Teter operational board went to work, and we kind of started thinking about, you know, how are we going to do this? What kind of fundraising can we do? You know, we got an estimate for the roof, and it was a pretty big number, and we're like, okay, so how are we going to get this done? You know, where are we going to get money? And lo and behold, somebody donated money, which was the exact dollar figure that we needed for the roof. Well, then we weren't done yet. We started looking, and Pam brings up, well, somebody in Cicero is putting on these metal roofs.
Her name is
Katy.
I have a metal roof.
And, yeah, and so as a group, we're all thinking about it, and we're thinking that would really be nice if we could get a metal roof, because where that lodge is located, it gets limbs and leaves, and it gets lots of moss growing on the roof, and you know, a metal roof would just be so much better. But we were kind of hesitant, because we thought if we call them out and they give us this number, which we all thought would probably be twice as much money as we had, and we couldn't do it, that we were kind of wasting their time. But then there was that other part of me, and I don't know about anybody else, but I'm thinking, okay, what if it comes back and it's not twice as much, but it looks like it's obtainable? If we could just do some fundraising, do we put it off and try to fundraise, or do we go ahead and put the shingles on there? Well, they came out, they did the estimate, it was $200 more.
Oh my gosh.
Right. Well,
$200 more.
I told them how much we had.
Yes.
And what a great church we are.
Yeah, and they liked what we did out here. Yeah. So obviously that made it possible for us to get that
Schweitzer Construction did that.
Beautiful roof out there.
And And
but
let's
you know,
not
and
forget-
as we go along, and I think I just want to say a little bit about the operational team. One of the things we look at when we start to do anything out here is we try to look at Ruth's mission and say, okay, is this something that would go along with what she wanted to have happen out here? You know, the farm was nothing she said anything about, but in 1980, this was not something that people did. You know, it was organic stuff was not, you know, a big thing in 1980, and certainly growing food and giving it away was not a big thing. But when we started the farm, everybody looked at it and said, I think she'd be really happy. I think if she could see what we're doing, she'd be really happy. And, you know, we do try to keep that in the foreground of anything we do out here, from our master plan to anything, is looking at Ruth and saying, what would she want to have happen out here? And I want to end it with this one little story, and I think this will kind of help you all to think about Teter as I think about Teter. I was out here the other day with some neighbors who couldn't come to the plant sale, and they had asked if I'd meet them out here at 10 o'clock on a Monday morning, and they were going to buy some stuff, and I said sure. So I come out, and they had never been out here. They've donated money to Teter, and they've bought lots of plants, but they had never been here, so I felt the need to take them around and show them what all we're doing. And so the best vantage point is in the Peace Garden, because you can kind of see where everything is from there, you know. So I took them back in the Peace Garden, and as we're watching the little low area there, it had water in it because it had rained all day. Sunday, if you'll remember, the last day of the plant sale. So we had some geese in the water, and all of a sudden the eagle comes and he flies over and he goes right down and grabs a snake and takes off. I mean, and we're like from here to that fence watching him do this, and they were like, oh my gosh. And my neighbor looked at me and she said, have you ever heard the term thin space? And I said, no. And she goes, that's where heaven comes down and touches earth. And she said, that's what this is out here, is thin space. So I hope as you look at Teter, that you always remember that God is blessing this place. Anytime we have had anything that we needed to have happen out here, somehow it has gotten done. And we all say, I don't know how that got done, but it's just amazing when you start looking at all the things this year that we've gotten done. So.
Amen.
Well, now that Tina choked me up with that last bit.
Yeah, follow that out.
Yeah, appreciate you doing the testimony here. So, I thought about how awkward I found the word testimony because of my upbringing, and I thought I don't know if I want to make everyone come to the altar today, but when I came out here and saw the mission and everything that was slated to happen and had been initiated, I thought, this is amazing, and it's overwhelming. And I thought about Spinoza thought that to understand nature was to understand God. And I think that we can't understand ourselves as individuals unless we understand ourselves as part of a whole, part of an ecosystem. And I see the same kind of fingerprint when I see a group of people like this come together and accomplish things like we do. I am going to choke up. I can't look at the boluses. When I see us come together and accomplish things, I see that same fingerprint on the whole of Teter and the ecosystem here. And how everything works together, and the nutrients that we ingest turn into the labor that feeds the soil, that feeds the plants, that feeds the people in our community, and it all cycles back through, and it's really elegant to me. And so I learned with a quickness out here that when Aaron and the original team got the inspiration to turn this into a place that was taking care of the community, that didn't come to them without the path and the ability to make that happen. It wasn't, here's what you should do, now struggle. It's entirely struggle. But so last year we said, there's so many hungry people, we have so much land, we have so much passion, but we don't have a lot of the right tools. And so we can only do so much with what we've got. And we decided that since the inspiration didn't come without the path, that we would just ask for the tools. So once we identified something we needed, we asked. They asked in grants, we asked you guys, and it all happened. And it's really amazing. So thank you to everybody, and read the acknowledgments in here, because I do think that this is a space that, whether you're in the CSA or you're purchasing from the plant sale or you're working with us or you're, all the stuff that all of you do and this team does together, it's an amazing space to see how we all work as a collective at a family unit, and all the way out to the ecosystem unit. And it's a really beautiful opportunity for people to answer that highest calling to take care of each other. So, that's all I have.
Pretty good.